Buckeye Nation, here we are, Peter and Rob, back with another video. This time we're discussing the college football playoffs. Of course, we know Ohio State plays Tennessee. We know all the matchups. You know all the matchups. But we're going to discuss these things in detail. Cannot wait to dive into this with Rob here today as we discuss the first ever 12-team college playoffs. Rob, take it away.
All right, you guys. So here is the bracket. That was presented on the final selection Sunday.
Yeah,
As
buddy.
let's talk about the teams that have bye weeks and if they're actually worthy of those
Yeah.
bye weeks. Because from what I saw is the only two who I feel like are worthy of bye weeks: Georgia. Very impressive. They beat Texas twice.
Yes.
Not an easy feat. And Oregon, very impressive. They beat Ohio State earlier in the season, and then they went on to beat Penn State in the Big Ten title game. But let's look at Boise State. Now, the word is that people are complaining about strength of schedule, so I thought I would bring up strength of schedule. So Boise State has the 78th ranked strength of schedule. And the only worthy team they played all season was Oregon, and they lost. They were up big, they blew it, and they lost. And then you have Arizona State, who's 62 strength of schedule. But I guess you can argue, okay, they beat BYU, they're ranked. They beat Kansas State, who was ranked when they played them, and they just beat Iowa State in the Big 12 title game. But here's the thing: I don't feel like Texas should have been punished for losing to Georgia again. They
Yeah.
play in a tougher conference. They had a pretty tough schedule. They won all their games except Georgia. Georgia's obviously better than they're really better than the record. If you look at Georgia, they lost with like a minute left to Alabama, and
They're getting crushed, though. Don't forget
yeah.
that.
But don't look so much at that first half. Look at the second half. I mean,
I
Alabama
mean,
had 30 points going in the half, and they won.
I think that was more Alabama foot off the gas and Georgia also being mentally strong to not quit and give up because a lot of teams would quit and give up. I'll give them credit on that.
Yeah. All I'm saying is I don't feel like Texas should have been punished and missed out on that bye week though.
Mm,
I mean, if people are complaining about strength of schedule, Texas has they have the 20th ranked strength of schedule. So
yeah.
that's just I think the top four. I mean, I think you have a case for Notre Dame to get a bye week, and you have a case for Texas to stay in the bye week. Um, so also, let's. I mean, what are your thoughts on the top four, Peter?
You know what, man? One, a couple things. I think it's way cooler to host a playoff game at your home stadium in December, especially making a Southern team come north like Ohio State's doing, than winning the Big Ten championship and taking a bye week. Because one, I know Ohio State's not a top four seed, and he asked me about the top four. Ohio State's terrible out of bye weeks. We've been terrible under bye weeks with Ryan Day. Terrible. If we had won the Big Ten, I would have predicted us to lose our very first game. Instead, I think we win two games and reach the semis. I think Oregon, Ohio State in the Rose Bowl. I think Arizona State soundly won the Big 12 easily. I think Boise State should be in there. I think Georgia. You know my thoughts on Georgia, man. I'm not shifting my perspective. I was correct in their season
They
prediction
earned
record.
it. They earned it though.
They
They,
earned
if
it, but Texas kicker sucks just like Ohio State's kicker sucks. If he
But Peter,
doesn't
you
suck,
you you have to say that they earned it, man. They completely
I did
earned
say
it,
they earned
dude.
it.
Yeah, but don't make excuses about the kicker, man. They
No,
earned it.
Ohio State's kicker
Nothing.
sucks. We should have beaten Michigan. We didn't. Texas kicker sucks.
I mean, dude, I think that at the end of the day, the better teams that game
I don't
find
know,
a way to
man.
win. They do.
I
It
mean, I'm not going to disagree with that, but
Yeah,
I
but
think
go on.
I think when it comes down to a kicker, probably the least important aspect of a freaking college team, unless you're Jim Tressel. And Ohio State's finding out just how important kickers are versus Michigan specifically and versus Georgia specifically 2 years ago. Um, hey man, I guess recruit better kickers. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, but let's I want to so you think that everybody that's in the top 4 deserves to be in the top 4? I mean, I feel like this idea that just because you win your conference,
Mm,
you automatically get a bid. I don't think that, because if you look at
mm,
these 2 teams who are in the Final Four, I'm talking about Arizona State and Boise State.
yeah.
In the AP poll, there's a plethora of teams that are higher, and
Do you
it's a
think
good.
Notre Dame should have been a top 4 team? Because I do.
I think they look really impressive to close out the season. It looks like they really learned about that bogus loss. Was it
Do
Northern
you, let,
Illinois?
let me to my point in the thing I was covering. Do you think? And that's a great point about Notre Dame. Oh man, do I fully agree with your point. Is it an advantage or disadvantage to have a bye week? And one, that's the first part of the question. Two, the second part of the question is schools make a lot more money playing at a home game than they do waiting to play in the Rose Bowl.
I mean, yeah, you could look at the money aspect, but I think at the end of
Mm-hmm.
the day, if you earn that bye week, you're one step closer to your goal, and you've
That's
earned to be
fair.
one
That's
step
fair.
closer to that goal
That's fair.
of winning the national championship. But yeah, dude, like so one thing I don't agree with on this is, you know, let's look at Penn State,
Okay.
who it
Yeah.
looks a real, and this is where I'm going with this, and this has
Yeah.
to do with conference championship weekend.
Yeah.
Penn State, look where they're at. They got SMU, then they got Boise State. They
Yep.
got rewarded for losing to Ohio State and Oregon. Now, we all thought that Ohio State was going to be the higher seed than Penn State. But as you can see, Ohio State has the gauntlet. They got to
Yeah.
get through Tennessee, Oregon. Eventually, all roads may lead to Texas, and then they may have to beat Georgia in the national championship. So not an easy path, even to the semifinals.
Yeah.
But you see Penn State, they have SMU, then they have Boise State. They can very well easily be in the semifinal. So if you're
Easily.
if you're not going to be punished like for that, losing
Yeah.
in the conference championship like that, what's the point of having conference championship weekend? Because
I
another
don't see a
thing,
point.
yeah, I don't see a point of conference championships. It's gonna end up being another meaningless game,
I
especially if they expanded to like 14, 16 teams. Um,
yep.
I mean, Texas got punished, but they actually have an easy path as well. I mean, Clemson, I don't think Clemson is going to be able to keep up with Texas,
Arizona State.
and then Arizona State just
They're not gonna
completely,
compete, right?
they're not going to compete. So they didn't get they got rewarded as well. So
The bottom half is a lot easier than top half. Am I mistaken?
yeah, I feel like they I don't know. I mean, look at Indiana as well. I mean, they have a really good Notre Dame team
Mm-hmm.
who, I mean, I think should have been a top 4 team.
Yeah. Yeah.
And and then you they can go on and play Georgia. So the
Yep.
the top the top
Um.
half is like powerhouse. Um so
So you think eventually, once we get to 16-team playoffs, we're gonna scrap the conference title weekend?
yeah, I really don't see a choice. I really don't see a way that they don't. I
I
after seeing, look at Texas. They didn't really, yeah, they don't get a bye week, but they have an easy path. Look at Penn State.
True.
They have an easy path. They didn't get
I,
punished at all. What's
I
the point? It's just an extra game.
I personally would rather have. This is just me personally, because of how bad Ohio State is off of bye weeks. I'd rather have Texas's path or our path, Ohio State's path, than Oregon's path to a national championship,
Yeah.
or
And
Georgia's path.
you know what? I know that gosh, where was I going with this? So
Oh
I
my
know
god!
that Notre Dame, they're obviously a lot better than their loss to Northern Illinois. They really
Yeah,
improved. I mean, to me, they're my dark horse to actually make it to the national championship. I think they have a real shot. I mean,
really.
Marcus Freeman just coaching lights out, has this team in the right direction, really focused. I think Kirk Signetti is in for another rude awakening when they travel to South Bend, take on the Fighting Irish.
How?
Um, but just going back to my point about the playoffs
Yeah.
in terms of conference championship weekend.
Yes.
Conference championship weekend is pointless. The
Yep.
system is still broken. You should not get an unless
And
automatic bye because you win your conference championship. I mean, if again, go back to the AP poll. That should really matter. If that's what
yeah.
you really think about these teams,
Yep.
then why not let the top 4 teams in the AP poll in the bye week? And
Well, to your point, bro, why does Arizona State get a bye? Why? Because they won the conference? Okay, I get it. Respect. You beat a decent Iowa State team. I get it. But what are they in the AP? Like 12th, 14th?
yeah, and you know what? Man, I get why Alabama was left out, but
And I'm thankful.
if you're gonna have them higher ranked in the AP, that just proves that the system is broken. You're saying, okay, at the end of the day, we think Alabama's a better team, but we're gonna let a lower ranked Arizona State in the
Yeah,
playoffs, and not only that, but give them a bye week. That makes absolutely no sense at all.
I'm with you.
So, you know, I
What then?
I still think it's broken. Um, but and maybe a look. I mean, look at the NFL.
Hmm.
They don't go by. Gosh, it looks like they go by record.
Yep,
They
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 do.
go by record. The Lions clinched the playoffs already. They're 11-1, 12-1. They clinched it. They're
12
close to
and
that first round bye. Same as Kansas City Chiefs. They have two of the best records in all of the National Football League,
Yeah.
and they're rightfully so rewarded with that bye week. Why can't we get to that where okay,
Yeah.
at the end of the season,
Yeah.
wherever you lie in the AP poll, that is what is going to happen. And you know
Mm.
what? They need to look at strength of schedule as well. They should. And I'm going to go back to I think Georgia is rightfully so where they are. They have the number 1 strength of schedule in the country.
They
They
did
play
earn it.
and they beat the toughest team on their schedule twice. Once when they were number
Yeah.
1
Yeah.
and then another time when they were ranked 2nd.
With a
Really,
backup quarterback.
yeah, really impressive. But again, like and that's what I thought they were going to do cuz I'm thinking like, man, I hope Ohio State, or some of these other teams who I was pulling for, I hope they don't drop out of the top 12 because I thought they were going to take,
Yeah.
the 12 best teams in all of college football ranked by
Yes.
the AP poll. But
Yeah.
now they're taking teams that okay, they won their conference.
Okay.
Why should we award conference winners? I mean,
Well,
at least Oregon and Georgia, they were ranked in the top 5 in the AP poll.
we
But
knew, bro, when this format was announced, that whoever came out of the Big 12 with multiple losses get a bye, and that ticked me off.
That's that's terrible. I mean,
It ticks me off.
look who's in the Big 12 conference. Is there there's
And
there's not that many ranked teams in the Big 12
there's
conference.
not, and the forerunners. Everybody predicted Oklahoma State and Utah to win the play in the championship game. Neither of
Yeah.
them made it. They both
Not
stunk this year.
not even close. But what I will say about Arizona State, even though I don't think they should have gotten the bye, I think Texas should have still gotten the bye week.
Sure,
Um, they were
over
they were picked dead last. I think they should have gotten the bye over Arizona State. They were
not Boise.
no, not Boise.
I agree. I agree.
But Arizona State, hats off to them, but they were actually picked to finish dead last in that conference. They weren't picked at all. It was, it was kind of like, after the COVID season for Michigan's odds were just astronomically impossible for them winning the Big Ten, but
Yeah,
then they went on to win the Big Ten. So hats off to
yeah.
Arizona State, but I still think that, Texas is the better team. And again, look at that. Look at that AP poll. And I'm going to preach this until they change it. Why not go by at the end of the season if it's whoever's ranked 1 through 12 in the AP poll, that's the playoff seeding.
So
There's
scrap the committee is what you're
yeah,
saying.
scrap the committee. But also I could see a path where there's going to be 2 conferences total.
Oh yeah, me too. Me too. Me too.
It's going to be like in the NFL. You have the NFC, the AFC, and I think that eventually the Big 12 and the ACC will form one big conference, and the SEC and the Big 10 will form one big conference.
Yeah.
And whoever wants to join them, maybe they'll
So
have an invite. So
okay, I could see it becoming a little more like the NFL in the fact where there's AFC, NFC, where it's like SEC, Big Ten. Um, I don't think they'll ever scrap the SEC and Big Ten names ever, but I think we're gonna cut about 50% of the teams that are FBS Division One, whatever you want to call it, out of the Division One FBS, and we're gonna move to the super conferences and the power conferences, and you're gonna see what you just described, basically.
yeah, I mean, I think that's where they're heading. They open up the floodgates for this to happen, but you need to fix the system and let the best teams in the playoffs.
Duke it out.
All right? And especially the bye weeks.
Let me
Especially the bye weeks.
let me ask you this, man. Two different questions, two totally different questions. One, I feel like a bye week is a great reward because you get more than 1 week to prepare. But the thing is, you don't know who you're preparing for, so whatever. The second thing is that's a major advantage. It is a bye week. You don't have to play, no injured players, yada yada yada, no wear and tear. My bigger question is about the seeding, man. We already talked a little bit about Arizona State getting a huge bump for winning the Big 12. I think that gets corrected next year. I think it changes this offseason. I really do. But other than the top four, is the seeding correct? Tennessee, in my opinion, is correctly ranked ninth and not hosting a game because they have no quality wins.
Yeah. I think that Ohio State should have been higher
7.
than Penn State. I
Me
do.
too.
Because like you can't. So not only Penn State lost to Ohio State and Oregon. Those were the 2 quality teams that they
Yep.
played all season. But Ohio State only lost to one of those teams. They lost to Oregon. They beat Penn State.
Mhm. Mhm.
So at the end of the day, I think that Ohio State should have been ranked over Penn State. But
Amen.
that's it. In terms of SMU, I
SMU.
mean, in terms of SMU, do you think they should have gotten in over Alabama or Miami?
Alabama, 1,000% yes. Miami, wow. I'm flabbergasted that they got left out, but that does not necessarily shock everybody. We kind of saw it coming in their ranking the previous week. I think they deserved a playoff bid, but I don't like Miami, so screw them.
Yeah, I mean, again, so I can see the case for Alabama being left out, but I also see like they
Give it
they
to me.
beat
Give it to me.
they beat Georgia. We see that's a really good quality win, but they
Yeah.
also have two really bad actually no, they have two really bad losses. They lost to a Vanderbilt team
Yep.
and who's not even ranked anymore, and they got absolutely blitzed against Oklahoma, who is arguably one of the worst teams in college football this season.
Oklahoma's
Um,
rough. I don't know how
but
they lost that game.
yeah, but they did beat the rival. They do have a quality loss against Tennessee. We see where Tennessee is at. Their college football playoff team. But their strength of schedule is 30, and they're
Mm.
also ranked higher in the AP poll than SMU. And so
Yeah.
I think Miami is as well. Maybe, maybe not. But no, actually, you know what? Scrap Miami. They lost to Georgia Tech and they lost to Syracuse.
Yeah. Syr- yeah. Syracuse isn't a horrible loss. It's not a good one.
Yeah,
Don't get
I
me
mean
wrong.
Syracuse is top 25 now, but
They are.
the Georgia Tech one, and if you look at their overall performance all season, they are so lucky that they don't have more losses.
They are. They are. They are. I
Really
feel like
lucky.
going back to your point though, you said, "Hey man, good teams do find a way to win," and I do agree with you on that. But Miami was getting by the first half of the season by the skin of their chinny chin chin, bro. The hair on their chinny chin chin. They were barely winning, so I'm okay
Yeah.
with Miami being left out. I love the all Indiana matchup in Notre Dame and Indiana. That's a lot of fun to me. It stinks that Indiana makes the playoffs and one doesn't get to host despite being 11-1. Two has to stay in state, although that's really good for their fan base. We'll see how many Hoosiers make it into South Bend, into Notre Dame Stadium. And then I think, do you want to get in predictions or do you just want to leave it?
You know, here's what I think. Here's what I think. Move move SMU and Notre and no, move SMU.
Yeah.
Actually, wait, no.
Ooh.
I'm trying to see. Move Penn State and Notre
Mm.
and Indiana. Indiana gets the home game,
Okay.
and Penn State has to go on the road.
Now, I got you. I got you. Yeah. Well, here's the thing, man. One last point I want to make before we move into something else, but Ohio State has beaten two of these teams, and they lost to the other third team in the playoff bracket by 1 point on the road. And offensive pass interference, no excuses. Ohio State lost fair, square. I have no gripes about the game in Eugene. No gripes. We were really close to winning that game. We didn't pull it out. That's why I don't think we win a national title. That's why I said that in the video. To much dismay, but do you want to get in predictions, or you just want to kind of like for first round games, not for the whole playoffs?
Do you want to talk? We could talk about Ohio State's chances to win the national title.
Let's talk about Ohio State, Tennessee, and let's talk about Ohio State win the national title, possibly. I'll yeah, let's bring it up, man. First round matchup. Obviously, it's in Columbus. It's at night, 8 o'clock, prime time. First prime time game in Ohio Stadium since 2016. That's a travesty. Thanks, Fox. Big noon kickoff. I love your broadcast team. Jenny's great too. Gus and Joel, amazing broadcast. You have a better broadcast than ESPN, in my opinion, but daggone it. We want some primetime games in the shoe, and we're finally getting one in December when it's freezing. What do you think the chances are, first of all, to win the first game and get a rematch in the Rose Bowl in Pasadena?
Man, it all depends on how this
Hmm.
team responds after their heartbreaking loss to Michigan,
Yeah.
which shouldn't have happened. You know, I was looking at these teams on paper,
Yeah.
and we'll see if Ryan Day has learned his lesson because this Tennessee team, they have a really good defensive line. It's not a Michigan defensive line,
No, it's good though.
but it's a good defensive line. I think it's ranked 8th, and I think it's ranked 8th in rush defense, and then you have their passing defense. It's not as good. It's clear
Hmm.
that, and especially with the state of Ohio State's offensive line, we'll see what the reshuffling once again does. I don't like that. There's no the reason why it worked for Michigan is because that team had a lot of chemistry together, a lot.
Yeah,
And one player was not going to fall. They don't have a lot of chemistry together. They haven't been starting 3 years together. It
it's
just
facts.
it doesn't work like that. So I think that Ryan Day is going to be like, hey, you know what? We can't run the ball. If we want to get our running backs involved, we need to get them out in space around the end, in the edges.
Yep.
We need to get them involved in the passing game as well.
Yep.
I mean, I would love to see Henderson and Junkins go up the sideline for for a wheel route. I think that would be good. But you have NFL ready wide receivers. You have Jeremiah Smith, Cardinal Tate, Emeka Buka,
Yep.
and Ennis isn't bad at all. You have another one who's gonna be a star. But it's
How?
just it's right there. The blueprint is right there.
Yep.
And here's the thing, Peter. There's one game that made me think Ohio State could really take advantage of their passing defense, because I think Will Howard is a better quarterback than Carson Beck. Carson Beck threw for over 300 yards and 2 touchdowns against that passing defense. And they don't even have near as talented receivers as Ohio State.
No, it's
So
facts.
I think that that the blueprint is right there in what they need to do. They need to be pass heavy. If they want to get the running backs involved,
Well,
play the perimeter, get them involved in the passing game. Not
think,
worried about their defense. I mean, they're
yeah,
ranked number 1 in the country. I think that no, they're going to go back to throwing. Hopefully they go back to throwing their blitz packages.
yeah,
Unless they're
yeah.
like, okay, it's gonna be really cold. Tennessee's not used to playing this weather. They're probably gonna run the ball.
I can
But
try.
but who knows? So offense, get your playmakers involved. And you know what? I saw this comment, or somebody made this statement, and just like Urban Meyer's teams didn't win because they were the tougher team. They won because Urban knew how to get his athletes out of space and use speed.
Yeah, he did,
So,
and he knew how to use his playmakers the best strategy wise against each specific defense that he faced.
yeah,
Here's a
yeah.
question, man. James Pierce Jr., he's a freak for Tennessee. 7.5 sacks. That's more than any Buckeye. JTT with 6. Sawyer with 4.5 on the season. Don't know what he did the second half of the year except for that pick on the goal line versus Michigan. Don't know where he was for about 6 games. But how
They
do
real
we block James Pierce Jr. with a makeshift patchwork offensive line that we have right now, bro?
I mean, the way I look at it is, if you look at that Michigan game, they were fine dropping back into
Yeah.
pass protection. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
you have Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant coming after him. They
Yeah.
were fine. There was like Will Howard had a lot of time. He just made some bad decisions. And
Yep.
it's
Yeah.
gonna depend on his play as well.
I agree.
He's really gonna have to show it, but I'm not too worried after seeing how they did against
Okay.
Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant.
Okay. I got you, bro.
I mean, those dudes are the best D-line duo in the country. They
What do
they com-
you
they completely owned the game against Ohio State. So I'm not worried about the pass protection at all.
and it's because we let them too. But yeah, I'm not worried about pass pro. I'm worried about run game. and I think James Pierce will probably get a sack, but
Yeah.
we'll see because they're going to move him around. I think they're not going to keep James in one position. They're going to do what Mason Graham did versus Texas, although that failed miserably. Texas was ready for that, and they just went to the other side. You put him on the left, okay, we'll run and play to the right. You put him on the right, all right, we're going to the left. But anywho, I think Ohio State does win. Now Garrison, I heard Garrison from Voice of College Football and the Scarlet and Blue Show. Him and Ryan were talking about it on the Ohio State Voice of College Football channel last night. I was watching it, and they were saying 7.5 spread. Ohio State will not cover it. Thoughts?
You talking like they're not going to win?
They're not going to win by a touchdown.
No, I don't think they'll win by touchdown. I think they'll win by 3 points.
Woo! I think we'll win by 4. So I'm really close with you.
Yeah. I mean, I just, man, you want to cheer for this team. They have so much potential, but
You,
if they have so much potential, but there's only one person who can hold them back, and we'll see if
yeah,
that person has learned their lesson from the last
yeah,
game. Because you know what? If not, I'll take that $37 million buyout for Ryan Day.
yeah.
Because
Hey, you brought up a great point. Let me ask you this question too. How does this team respond to the loss versus Michigan? Do they band together, or is the season over and we're going to lose at home again?
you know,
Because a
it's
3 point loss is not a lot of confidence in a 4 point win and 3 point win is not a lot of confidence for in Ohio State, in my opinion.
we'll see how they come out in the first quarter. Will they be swinging for the fences, or
Oh God!
will they still be heartbroken over that Michigan loss?
You
I
know
mean,
how bad we are in first quarters, right?
oh yeah, definitely. But this is playoff time. This is not
Hey
we can
man.
be bad in the first quarter against Northwestern or Purdue. This is we're playing
Okay.
a really good SEC team who has a lot of potential as well.
Okay. So kind
So
of wait and see.
yeah, we'll have to
Okay.
wait and see. But you know what?
Oh,
If they don't get it done, I don't see how Ryan Day survives this. I
I
just
don't
don't.
either. I think your video was on point.
Yeah. Let's go down to Texas versus Clemson.
Oh my bad.
I think that Texas gets it done easily. I don't think Clemson has the firepower on offense to be able to keep up. I
Yeah.
think there's a big mismatch here, and thanks to Miami losing into Syracuse, Clemson even had a chance to make it here. So I mean, Dabo Sweeney's all about, okay, we don't need to do transfer portal. I don't want to do NIL. Let's do it old school way. You're about to see how miserably is still gonna fail. So I have Texas by a lot. What about you?
I think this is closer than you think it might be. I think the SEC is a lot better than the ACC. However, I could see Texas winning by 10. I don't see him blowing them out. I don't see him blowing them out.
Yeah.
Just me personally.
Why?
You know,
Because of the Clemson's defense?
hmm
I mean,
not because of
man,
anything Clemson does offensively, because of the defense. Yes.
but if you look at Clemson's game against Louisville, they gave
Yeah.
up a lot of yards, a lot of points. Texas has a lot better offense than
Yeah.
Louisville.
Yeah. That's facts. That's true.
Yeah.
Penn State SMU, easy win.
So I really liked how Penn State played in the Big Ten championship game. Really impressive. That was their best offensive outing of the season. They
Yeah.
played, they held their own against Oregon. They played really well. I have Penn State winning this one by 2 scores.
And you already touched on Notre Dame, Indiana. I agree with everything you say so far.
Yeah.
Notre Dame and the Hoosiers and the Fighting Irish in South Bend.
Yeah, I just for Indiana and Notre Dame, I still see Kurt Signetti eating his words still, the whole Google Me thing. And, Marcus Freeman said, you know what? I Googled him just just as a joke.
That's freaking awesome. I love it.
Yeah. So,
I have Notre Dame winning pretty easily.
yeah.
Blowout, even.
Yeah, definitely. It will be exciting to see. You have a game on December 20th. I think that's that's Indiana Notre Dame on December
That's the
20th.
one.
Yep,
Yep.
that's the one. It's gonna be a great night game, and then you have the lineup of I think it starts out with Penn State SMU at noon. You have Texas Clemson at 4, and then you have Tennessee Ohio State primetime 8 p.m.
Yes.
ABC. So it's going to be a great 2 days of college football, man. I'm really excited about this 12-team playoff to see how it ends, because you know what? The more you expand it, the more it
Mhm.
ends up being like March Madness or the
Yeah.
College World Series, where teams finally get together and just like, oh my gosh, where did this team come from? So
Yeah. Well, it's gonna be
real exciting. And college
a
football,
lot of fun.
it goes all the way through January. It goes to January 20th, man. I'm here
Yeah.
for it. I'm excited. Yeah.
It's gonna be a blast, man. So, getting back to Ohio State specifically, and we'll wrap up pretty soon. But Ohio State, Oregon, the rematch, part 2. We think it'll happen. Who takes the dub in the Rose Bowl, man? In a traditional, I know it's Big Ten versus Big Ten now, but
Yeah. Man, I'm not gonna make that prediction yet. I want to see
all
how
right, save
Ohio
it,
State
save it.
plays
Yeah,
against
let's
Penn
save
State.
it. Let's say
Let's
I
save it.
agree.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
that. I like
But
that. All right, man.
yeah, but all right, man. Well, that's all I got. Is there anything else you like to add?
That's all I got, man. I just want to reiterate my picks. Notre Dame by a lot, and I don't want that to happen, but Notre Dame by a lot.
Yeah.
Give Indiana and Signetti 2 to 3 more years, and they'll be winning a playoff game for sure, in
Yeah,
my opinion. If he stays,
definitely.
with that contract that he got,
Yeah.
Penn State easily over SMU. Texas a 10 to 13. I'll say this: 10 to 13 point win over Clemson. Clemson doesn't have enough offense to win. And Tennessee, Ohio State, I think, is the best matchup of the first round of playoffs. I think it goes down to the wire. I think
Yeah.
ultimately Ohio State being at home and not in Neyland Stadium in loud, ruckus Knoxville, Tennessee, with 100,000 screaming Tennessee fans, I think we win and we advance
Yeah.
to the Rose Bowl. So that's my predictions.
All right, you guys. That's all we got. We'll see what happens. It's going to be an exciting weekend next weekend. So, all right. Well, thanks for tuning in.
All right.
All right.
Go Bucks and God bless. IOHIO. Let's go Bucks. All right.